am Gina Teresa.
I am Sean Spencer.
And you're watching the New York Film Academy's Twitch channel, Schooled. And tonight's super awesome guest is Damian Haas. He has been working as an actor since he was 9. After a year of working on the Disney show So Random, he was a sketch comedy actor. He then had an opportunity to try voice acting and has fallen in love with the whole idea of it. And then what happened?
While he regularly voices a handful of characters on the Cartoon Network show Clarence, his most common voiceover work has to be in the realm of gaming. Recent credits include Halo 2,
Halo Wars 2!
Thank you. I was
That's not very recent. If he was like Halo 2, he was also a fetus when he recorded it.
Well, I mean, Halo Wars. I mean, Halo, you're at war. I mean, come on, you're fighting. His most common voiceover is on the show Clarence. He's been in Halo Wars 2, and in a national T-Mobile TV spot, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and several more unannounced projects that we can't exactly talk about right now, but they're fun.
Everybody,
fun.
Welcome. Welcome, Damian Haas.
Thank you very much for having me.
And now we're looking over here. Gina's not going to repeat the mistakes of last Thursday. I'm here with you. Hi, Damien.
Hi there, Gina.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you both.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for coming in.
My absolute pleasure.
Tell us.
Tell us.
Well, we just learned that he was born in Germany because he's a military brat.
I am a military
And that was a fun conversation.
Who was in the military?
My father, military intelligence, and then we moved to Georgia when I was like 3.5.
What branch?
USARC, so
okay.
Army Reserve Command.
Cool.
Yeah, and grew up in Georgia, moved out to LA in 2009 to go to school for about 1.5 years. Then I booked that Disney show that you had mentioned, and couldn't really balance both. Figured school would be there, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you study when you moved to LA?
I studied theater initially. Again, I've always been an actor. It took me a long time to find voice acting, and I think that's really my niche. But yeah, I started in community theater like a lot of people, and I just knew that was my path in some way.
Okay, so in our little intro, it said that you were on the Disney show, you were on So Random, and then you kind of stumbled into voice acting. What was your first voice acting gig?
I've always had a manager who has helped me out here, and through her I got a publicist to help with the post-Disney stuff, an interview here and there. It was my first time ever doing something like that. But she hooked me up with a meeting with Atlas Talent, who I'm still with today.
Wow.
They put me on like a 1-month trial just to sort of see how I would do, and I had to set up a thing like this for myself, and that was my first foray into that. And within that time, I had booked a small role on Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was a police officer, so you've probably murdered me.
I may have done that a little bit.
Shame on you.
But it's fun.
Yes, it is indeed fun.
You're very good at screaming.
Thank you. I am actually known for being pretty good at screaming.
They want to know if you remember the police officer's line.
Oh, the line? They're very basic. They hired so many police officers and people to just populate the world in that game that a lot of us, I think, got sort of the same breakdowns.
Oh, yeah.
So I would do like a lot of, sessions of like, get on the ground and like, hands in the air and like that kind of thing. And then we would do other sessions of just like, suspect is heading east, and you'd be like in a helicopter.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but because I'm more like gravelly in that too, I've never heard myself in that game. It's so big, so many people.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, but anyway, they had to sign me in order to, get me to work on that game. So since then, it's been pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I love my representation, so I'm just a happy fella.
So my background, theater and just regular theatrical actor. Theatrical in LA means on camera, film and television. Sean?
Went to the New York Film Academy, mainly a theater actor, and I have looked at doing stuff overseas, which did not play out. But mainly theater and looking to get into voiceovers. That's what drove me in the first place.
Yeah, so awesome. I have 0 voiceover experience, and I think I would probably suck at voiceover, so we'll figure that out, because apparently we have an activity. Sean, we discovered on Thursday, which is why I dragged him in here tonight instead of Charlie, Sean has a secret mutant power of character voices.
I did.
He's really good.
I had a little bit of practice. I did the Voice Caster Studio, Mark Grau recording, and the Famous Radio Ranch. So
Are these all in LA?
Yes. These are all
Say
in
those
LA.
again for our LA people.
Okay, so the voiceover casting, the Mark Grau recording studio, which I really love. They did a bunch of World of Warcraft stuff, which you guys know I'm a huge fan. As are you. Horde. Yeah, there we go.
For the Horde.
Yeah. You better. And then the famous Radio Ranch. They offer a lot of great classes there, accents, characters, whatnot, and I learned a lot about the industry from them. So they were really fun.
Awesome.
Now, before the show, you did mention, in fact, that you are not trained as a voice actor.
Right. So there is no rhyme or reason to, the right way of getting into voice acting or to being an actor of any kind. You have people like Jonathan Rhys-Meyers who are not trained at all, acting across Natalie Dormer, who's like heavily trained. It's just a matter of personal preference. I highly recommend taking classes like that, especially if you are just curious and want to.
They're really good. They're just a few weeks, a few sessions, however long their specials are going, and it's just. I mean, it depends on around maybe about $60 a session, something like that. That's low pricing too, and so they can.
That is part of the reason I haven't really been trained. It's pretty expensive to do, depending. But I've been playing video games for a long time, and I've been listening with an active ear for a very long time, trying to hear what works, what doesn't, even in genres that I don't really play myself. And I have still been, trained as an actor in general, which I think is more important.
That definitely helps loads. That's
absolutely
ridiculous. Yeah.
Once you learn the little things here and there, what to do, what not to do with a microphone, you're just acting. You're just I mean,
that's the hard part. Is like when you mix the acting with that with the P's, you got to like speak to the side and everything. And if you're yelling, you got to step all the way back. Ah!
Totally. Yeah, it's tricky, but also sometimes when you book a job, they have a sound engineer. You don't even have to worry about that, which is just so liberating. Like you brought up screaming earlier. That's my favorite thing to do in a video game, really, because so many people just are like, like they can't really let themselves go.
Yeah, they're just making noise. They're
but like a total like primal yell. Where else can you do that? That's so fun. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, and all of you lurkers, come on, man, chime in. I know, yeah. So we're going to be kind of getting into basically the meat and potatoes of voice acting today. Let's start out with like literally like how do you get started? Like what do people need? I know like I assume a reel.
Well, actually, that's another like asterisk kind of answer. I've been voice acting for 5-6 years now. I just got my demo reel. So demo reels, for those who don't know, are 1 to 2 minute compilations of some work that you've either done or you've gone to a specific place for them to sort of showcase your voice. They have the scripts prepared and they're like, here's what I think you'll be good at, and they basically crunch down your best stuff into about 2 minutes. Very expensive. Good stuff can run like $2,500+, even the cheapest range. And
dang.
Like there's a place out here called Voice Tracks West. They do a great job. They're like the cheapest, and it's around $1,400, I think. $1,500. It's crazy. So that's why it took me so long, because I was working a little bit and paying rent off of my work, and I was like, I can't invest in that yet. But in order to get started. Again, I started sort of on a whim, so it was the most bare bones possible setup. All you need is a computer of any kind, Mac, PC, probably Linux, which I don't know anything about, but that's okay.
Yeah, all I know is I got a penguin, that's it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a very memorable penguin. You need a microphone of some kind, probably, unfortunately, not the built-in microphone in a laptop or PC, desktop computer.
What would you say to a webcam mic, or like even if you have a heavy duty headset that has a microphone here?
Headset is possible, but the fact of the matter is, when it comes to doing voiceover right, you kind of want to get to a mic like this. It gives you more freedom. The headset sort of sounds like, they're mostly made for gaming, and even if they're high quality, it's not going to get the full range of sound, the full depth of sound. The quality is just probably not going to be there. For like a webcam mic, it's not just, when you have this set properly, it's picking up sort of around here, maybe some things that are echoing off the back, but it's mostly focused on this, and that's how it's designed. Webcam mic is like, hi, Steven, I'm in the other room, don't mind me, I'm cooking while we Skype, and it just sounds tinny and not so fun. If you have to do a total renegade setup without a microphone, I think the best possible option is like a high quality smartphone, if you're fortunate enough to have one of those, but no disposable income for a mic. I have friends who do record and submit auditions on that. But
I hear that they do them in their car because of the acoustics.
Yeah, the car is actually really good. I would recommend, if you have to do the car, which I've done on like a spring break trip before, like comforter over the head, like big old blanket, and just do the best you can to Leslie
everybody else. You go party. I'll stay in here. And just like okay, so no.
Dude, that's my life. That's my life, man. So anyway, you need a microphone. What I would recommend if you're starting out is a company called Blue. Yeah, a lot of people know the name. They make very cheap but pretty good quality USB microphones. So I started out with the Blue Snowball. This was the first thing that I bought, and it only stopped working on me about a year ago. And that's a shock mount around it. That could be something that you very basically have on your table to speak into.
So this is actually the microphone, this part here.
Just that little sphere in the middle.
And then this is called a shock mount.
And that's basically for if there's any vibration, someone bumps the table, instead of the microphone being directly on the table, it's suspended on these wires here, and it just sort of absorbs the shock. But either way, it's going to be connected in the back through this type of cord to USB. Plugging right in your computer. And the good thing about Blue is usually they have settings on the back catering to sort of what we talked about. If you want it to become a mic that is omnidirectional and you can hear the whole thing, what you usually want is a cardioid mic. And on the Blue Snowball there's a picture button on there for cardioid.
And how much did you say the difference was between these?
I think when I bought this one, it was about $55 on Amazon.
Yeah, they're not much.
They're not very much at all, and they really will last. This one I upgraded to only because this one had the cord ripped out the back. It was $90. I like the recording quality better, but they're pretty similar. This is the Blue Yeti. This kind of stand is very useful. It would be about $20 again on Amazon. Pop screen, like you had mentioned before, breathing, the P's, the wind. Having it about 3 inches away from the mic is what I prefer, because most of your sound is then still directed at the mic. It just absorbs all the wind. If you haven't done voiceover before, P's, T's, all those things make like against the mic, and it's not nice to listen to.
If you ever remember with that point in a video game, or you ever do your own voiceover work, and you just kind of speak straight into it, and you ask for playback, you're going to hear exactly what we're talking about. It's just right there. Totally. Sounds like when your speakers kind of pop a little bit sometimes if you get that dialogue in certain games. You can hear that where they didn't clean it up.
Totally.
And your speakers are just like, what's going on? And it sounds like they're going to shatter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if you're like Skyping or FaceTiming with somebody and they're like yelling to someone in the other room and you hear the microphone like peek out and it just sort of sounds like loud metal noise in the version of the word that they said.
Yeah.
Like that's what'll happen. So this is like a great $10 investment. And yeah, I mean that's more or less it to get started. Equally as important as equipment is selecting your space. Hence why this is called
Screaming in the Closet!
I get so many video game voiceover auditions that ask for like, all right, now for this like last line, pretend you're on fire. We want that to last for 4 seconds and then die for 2 seconds.
Well, I mean, you could go method with it if you want. But
I did that the once, and I'm not the same anymore. All of this, not really skin.
No, you got that meat and grow back though. But at least it came back in one piece.
You got it, yeah. Nano machines.
Yeah.
But right now I am recording in my closet. On 2 sides, I have wall-to-wall clothing to absorb sound, and I have ordered also soundproof foam. You can get this from something like Amazon. I got a pack of 12 for like $20, and I used like an adhesive spray and just put it up on the wall. Because no matter what your setup is for voiceover, you always have to worry about sound bouncing back into the mic and making it less clean. That's the most common issue I think people have. And a lot of people go through the trouble of like trying to build like entire booths, dedicating an entire room, but it really can be as simple as just picking those strategic spots. I always record at a corner with soundproof foam deadening everything around that like triangle. If you're going to do bare bones, that's like the best possible use of your money there.
So what's the difference? Like, why can't they just use like egg crate foam?
You know what? Egg crate foam would actually do in a pinch. I mean, there are certain foams that have been, like, Auralex is a good company to look up. They're, like, top of the line. They've introduced, like, engineered ways for the sound to hit their foam and just die.
Yeah.
But I'm also not made of money, as I assume that a lot of us are not.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're trying to be voice actors, so.
Yeah, exactly. Which also, by the way, is, like, a very good profession, but very difficult to support yourself in. Even if you work regularly, it's usually, like, a nice boost to another side of the acting career. Very few people do it.
Yeah.
But it's possible. It's possible. The setup that I have now, I've always like check out if people have stuff like by a dumpster, like a monitor, grab yourself a second monitor and like set it up in your closet. That's what I have. I have a second monitor like right in front of me. I put the sides up right there in front of the microphone in the corner. Like everything's found or bought very cheaply. And I've been working professionally in this field for like 6 years.
Not a
That's
bad idea
awesome.
at all.
So I guess since you kind of have like a little bit of like a Deus Ex Machina type entrance into voiceover,
Yeah.
what are some of the other normal people stories? Like what are steps that they can take to reach out to voiceover agents, or is it just a matter of going here in LA and actually pretty much all over the U.S. There are something called breakdown services, which is actorsaccess.com. And breakdowns, if you're like super new at this, breakdowns are basically a casting listing that talks about what they need. So is that really the only resource for voice actors, or I've heard there's also like some website for audiobooks that people can.
Yes, a lot of people get started that way, doing audiobooks. I'm not familiar with that personally, but I have friends who have done it, so I'd just say Google audiobooks recording from home. The most important thing when doing that is people are if you're freelancing at all, people are going to be paying you for like a high quality finished product.
Yeah.
So make sure that you've done everything possible to make your space work. Otherwise, you'll sort of be known as like, well, he did good work, but it wasn't, high quality, so we won't use him again. I have a lot of friends in a lot of different stages in this career right now. So again, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I have a friend who is currently making a demo reel through Voice Tracks West, as I had mentioned, and then he is now approaching agencies, emailing, finding their resources online, and just sending it off saying like, hi, I'm a voice actor trying to work, and he has an audition right now.
Good luck.
Good luck, Joe. But a lot of people get into audiobooks and meet people that way. There's a website called Voices123 that costs $300 to join, but once you do, it is like an Actors Access kind of thing.
Oh, great.
Lots of auditions listed, but you again have to have a professional enough space that you are willing to, you will be reviewed as a member of that community, so don't do low
And
quality
that's
stuff.
Voices123?
Voices123.com, yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, I would recommend, if I were starting out brand new right now, I think the best possible thing you could do for yourself would be to, first of all, research the different agencies that are available. Try to find other voice actors' demo reels who you respect. Sometimes agencies have the demo reels online, so, for casting purposes, but, listen to what would be expected of you. And try to make your own. It won't be the professional level, but you can at least show up and be like, I'm trying to do this. I recommend taking workshops, casting director workshops. Again, research to make sure they're legitimate.
Legit ones, yeah.
And there are things called workout groups, voiceover workout groups
Right.
out here, and people work together to build their craft together, and therefore also, share jobs. It's the kind of thing where you really do have to know somebody, but it doesn't mean that you have to start out in a position of knowing somebody.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just going to have to lily pad jump until you get to the place you need to be.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that's
there-
how everybody finds everybody.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
One of them, it's the Voiceover Collective, is a good one for that.
I've heard the name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that I'm more familiar with, just from being around, because I do the other side of video game, but all my other video game nerd people are voiceover actors, and they go to, if you're here in LA, it's called the Video Game Collective. So check them out. It's a kind of it's like a collective workshop where, like he was saying, you kind of get to go and usually you get sides and hang out, and you get to run them and work them for a bunch of people, and everybody gives you feedback, and it's great. Oh, that's a good question. So moving on from, okay, cool, I know that I want to be a voice actor, how do I get started? It's an extremely strenuous job.
Yes.
It is extremely strenuous.
Very
So
much so.
what do you do pre-recording to take care of your voice so it's always on the level? What do you do during the
question.
recording? And what do you do post-recording to recover? Because you said you like to scream in video games. Like, that's your
Totally.
thing.
Absolutely. And sound engineers love it when they get somebody who can really scream. The problem is you will blow out your voice. I mean, you can work your whole life as a voice actor, but very specifically the kind of like, action video games, you sort of have a lifespan on that. So a lot of studio engineers totally know what you're going through. They will offer you breaks, water, things like that. They will almost always have things there as well. Like special cough drops. Slippery elm is a type of lozenge that's good for your throat. Throat coat tea is fantastic. But Billy West, who does half of Futurama's voices and also was like the Honey Nut Cheerios, like honeybee guy, he, I've heard, has more of the mindset of like, you lean into it. Like if your voice is sort of starting to go, yeah, human beings have raspy voice days. That, I guess your character does too, you know, just work with it. But I mean, I've blown out my voice for a week at a time too. I'm still learning how to properly take care of it. All I recommend is honey, take breaks, be kind to yourself, and also if there's like a big scream, like the scream I was talking about, this video game I was recording recently, like it was the last shot of the day. They were like, your character's gonna like run into battle and then like get killed or something like that. So like this is your last big one. They save it for the last, and they know you're gonna blow your voice out. And we did one take. Yeah. Like they'll don't be afraid to ask for what you need.
So that's during the shoot. What about before? What do you do? Is there like vocal conditioning exercises that you keep up on? Or you're like, I should, but...
I mean, look, I'm a very fly by the seat of my pants kind of person. Not in the like lazy kind of way. It's just I very much enjoy being in the moment. Like, this is how I'll fix that. So morning of, you know, and the night before, I make sure I'm not like hanging out with friends too late, or you know, I don't talk very much. I will sip tea to condition my voice. I have a lot of classic like theater warm-ups I do with like the red leather, yellow leather. I was gonna say
you could do those just even in the car on the way there. I did that on the way here. Just
awesome.
10-15 minutes and you do all that, and you can feel the difference. If you go to class or something like that and you don't do the warm-ups, and you're just going to, you got the mumble mouth going on.
Yeah.
You're going to feel it, because I did that a lot. And I do.
And, like, if, you know what, speaking about the car, like, that's usually what I do on my way to a job. I will put on the radio and, like, any song that, you know, strikes me, I'll sing out as loud as I can to it, or if it's a rap, it helps me, like, warm up my, like, I can't rap at all, but, like, even if you don't know the words, you're just like, like, just warming up your lips and
you're
stuff.
Just getting everything
getting a rhythm,
So I imagine that it's a lot like with singing, how your voice is asleep for a good part of the morning because you're not actively using it, and even when you are, you're using a lower register, so you're warming up your low register and not your upper register.
Yeah.
So do you do like vocal slides and the siren slides and all that?
You know what? I did that for the longest time, but I'm a total overthinker. I used to be the kind of person that will record 12 takes of this video game and have to listen to all my takes and edit up. So I've gone sort of the complete opposite route. Most of my auditions are due in the morning, like 9:30, 10 a.m. I'll wake up at like 7, give myself maybe 15 minutes to drink water and get ready, and I'll just jump right into it.
Oh, wow.
I know it's weird, but like...
That sounds painful.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me personally... that's more beneficial as an actor, not having and being able to overthink things, than it is as a voice actor having a little bit of an unwarmed up voice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I can see for certain roles having that warmed up, because you definitely have more gravel and a deeper resonance than when you first wake up. But
I book soldiers too, so it's always like the
exactly for that. But for the high pitched stuff, like Gene was talking about, I don't know that. I don't know if you can do that, but I've tried doing that from when I wake up and just go to high pitch, and it hurts. It just...
You know, I don't do the high pitch too much, so maybe that's where the miscommunication is, and also probably waking up and doing it first thing in the morning, almost definitely not the right way to do it, if there is a right way to do it.
Well, but if you're doing like the gravelly soldier characters, then it's fine, because if your voice is in the basement, like, you're not gonna, it's then not the end of the world. Editing, that's a good question. So when you are working on a home system to even just do auditions, you edit everything yourself.
I do, yes. So I think there are all sorts of... we need to talk about software.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of different kinds of audio software you can use. You know, if someone has Adobe Audition, that's a really great one, but it also costs money. Reaper Audio, like Grim Reaper, is one that a lot of people swear by. That is a one-time price that I'm probably actually going to get soon. But right now, what I would recommend for people starting out, and I still use this, it's Audacity.
Oh, yeah.
It's an open source program, meaning that it is legally free. You get it from sourceforge.net, which I have a link up on, right? Look at that professionalism. Sourceforge.net, again, free download, and the only other thing you need to download for it is called the Lame Codec. which you need in order to export MP3s, which is the standard file that you would be sending your audition off in. It's incredibly easy to edit in this. In a little while, I'm going to have you guys like do some acting for a video game that I just wrote an hour ago called Fighting School in Space with Lasers.
He wrote an entire video game
Whole one of
1
them.
hour ago.
See, it's that easy.
Programmed it in 30 minutes. Thanks, NYFA.
What are some of your favorite types of projects?
Oh man, I've always wanted to be in a video game that was like a JRPG that is translated in the sense that like Japanese role playing game, like anime style.
I know RPG, but the J threw me off. I was like,
it's its whole style. It's its own style.
And what I love about that style is often like attacks are called out, not just like, you know, aiming downrange or something like that, like in a military video game, but like blazing blade or like something like, you know, they're like revolver drive, blah! And I just really want to be in a position where I get to yell something ridiculous like that. But favorite kinds of projects, I love animation. Anything where I get to be, I mean, the reason I love voice acting over on-camera acting is like, you know, I look how I look, you look how you look.
Yeah.
Which means that you're sort of stuck in a type.
Yeah.
And I used to have longer hair as a kid. I was always cast as the skater. And, you know, as I got older, I beefed up a little bit and cut my hair. And then I was always the jock. Like, voice acting, you can be a dragon. You can be anything. It's great. Yeah. And you don't have to be limited. So.
Yeah, it's the same for mocap.
Yeah.
So that's super... is dubbing considered voice acting?
I would say so. Yeah. Yeah, ADR. I mean, so that's the kind of thing that a lot of working voice actors will do to help, like, pay the bills. You're not going to know that they did it, but they'll walk in and be like, you know, this anime is being, you know, translated relatively cheaply through this studio. You'll get $100 for an hour to do this small part. I'm like, great. That keeps you fed for a few days, and you got to do your thing and be on camera. So yeah, sure.
So, and I know it's going to vary from obviously from person to person with the experience, but like how often, because you've done both, you've done on-screen acting. Do you still go out for on-screen at all?
Sometimes. I don't prefer to.
Okay.
I don't know. I love improv and sketch comedy. When it comes to like, you know, when you're a kid, the natural progression is like, you're in plays, right? Well, are we going to see you get an Oscar one day? And you're like, yeah, that's what I want to do because you said that. And as I got older, I was like, I'm not going to win an Oscar. I don't have that much to offer and on camera. I don't think. Like, I'm not that special. But voice acting, I feel like I do have stuff to offer.
Yeah.
So... Yeah.
So my question for you then is, what is the rate of auditioning for like theatrical versus voiceover? I feel like there's a lot more auditions in voiceover. Like you get...
It's crazy, yes.
It's a ton. Like I have friends who are like, oh, I can't hang out today. I've got like 9 voiceover auditions due tomorrow. You're like,
it's
what?
Crazy. And that's such a great feeling for any of you who are currently pursuing acting and not voice acting. Like, you know that it's like, it's been like 3 months, my agent hasn't called. Like, it's just really slow right now. And every actor I've talked to has said that verbatim for the past, like, 10 years. Like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just really slow right now. Voiceover auditions, I will get, like, 3 in a day, 4 in a day, some with multiple characters. And it's awesome. I feel very fulfilled even if I haven't booked anything because I at least got to give it a shot, you know? Yeah.
Because there's a ton of stuff, even if you don't have a manager or an agent, there's still a lot of stuff available on free sources in the web, like the different booking websites, like Actors Access, like Voices 123, I imagine.
Right.
So you don't necessarily have to have an agent or manager to pursue voice acting.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Eventually, it will definitely help you to have that, but you don't have to start with that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest asset you have as a voice actor is your natural voice, because though other people may be able to mimic you, they're not going to be able to do so as naturally as you are. So that's mainly what I have been booking. You know, a lot of soldiers, a lot of, you know, just young guy types. Weirdest character was probably on Clarence, the teenager named Toad.
That's right, we were talking about this. I asked, so you played Toad and...
I play Nathan and Amy, who are the two, like, big kids in Clarence's class, but then Toad is like a teenager that just shows up every now and then, and they were like, Damien, can you just do like a shrill voice? And it ended up being sort of like Toad from Mario, like that's just a very like, is this what you mean? And they were like, yeah, great, fine. And I was like, shit, like I didn't even know I was doing it until that day. It's always the in the moment, like, you mean like this, right? But you know, I haven't done anything too crazy.
I want to hear. Have a conversation between all 3 of them.
I'll do Nathan and Amy because they have the same voice.
Nathan and Amy have the same voice.
Yes. Nathan and Amy have the same voice.
And Amy's a girl, I assume.
Amy is indeed a girl.
All
One
right.
of those kind of characters that are just opposite of what they are.
Yeah, no, exactly. But it's like I've just been having like a lot of like big things going on at home lately, so I've been a little distracted. It's like, oh, do you think we'll be visited by any famous actors like Leo or like? They're both just very breathy. Oh, here's the thing, funny about that. I booked that off of a voice match, which is a different kind of voice acting job. Sometimes an actor cannot fulfill a role any longer. They've booked a different show, they're moving, whatever. Or a famous actor like Ryan Reynolds will do like Turbo and then can't do like the Turbo spin-off on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll get a voice match and they'll send you as many clips as they can of the person talking and you try to mimic what they've done. So there was a different actor for Nathan and Amy. Don't know why they left, but I matched it dead on and they were like, great, welcome to the show.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So are those are all mixed in with everything? They're all kind of under the same genre of voice actor.
Absolutely. You sort of have to be ready and willing to do anything. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there. I mean, apps need voices, and that's the kind of thing that you'll especially find on websites that are have free listings needing voice actors.
Okay, and then did you say there's much of a difference between voice acting and character voice acting? Because I know that there's character reels and commercial reels, but other than that, as far as technique-wise, would you say it's not much of leap acting-wise per se?
I think that's a personal preference kind of thing. I feel that no matter how crazy a character is, they have to be rooted in some reality.
Yeah.
Like, depending on what approach you take as an actor, you're going to have wants in a situation, you're going to have desires, things that you're keeping secret, things that you're hopeful for, and, if you take the time to, like, lock those in for yourself, even if you're doing a crazy voice, you'll have that heart behind it.
Yeah.
So if there is a major difference between the two, I'm not aware of it in my own process. I guess is the best way to say that.
Just
That's
thought I'd ask.
interesting. So,
No, it's a good question.
So in terms of character voice, I feel like that's the most common place where you hear, like on The Simpsons, isn't it? It's like a woman voices like half the men in the show, and like vice versa. There's men that voice tons of women in these shows, and I feel like that happens more often with characters. But what you were talking about earlier, as far as with video games and your own natural voice, did that ever happen with you? Somebody stopped, because like I've stopped people and been like, "Oh my God, you've got a great voice!" Like, have you ever? Because it hits you. You know, unique voices, they hit you. So how did it come about that you did this voice, the first voice acting gig? Like, did somebody say, "Oh, you sound like"?
So I was, as a kid, again, I was a total ham, is I guess the word that older people use. Like, he's such a ham. I was a goofball, and I made the funny faces in the mirror. I made the funny voices when I was home alone, and when you bring up voice acting people and people say they can do voices, the most common things you'll hear are like this tiny voice, so it sounds like Lilo and Stitch, and then there's like the higher pitch like this voice, and then there's the what else was it? Like, I'm a snake person and I'm going to eat you. And so a lot of people start out with that because those are the big like crazy ways you can mess with your throat. So what I would say is like, great, where do you go from there? Build off of them, think about what you're actually doing to make that voice a little less tongue, a little more now he's this kind of character. I forgot what the question was.
Well, you answered something.
I answered something. I talked.
But you made me think of another question. So what you said, give it more tongue or whatever. What are some cool ways to manipulate a sentence? If you're like trying to find a character, like in motion capture, we work with body isolations. Like if I need to find someone who's elderly, like I isolate my upper back backwards. I can find that hunch, or I can find like that. So are there things that you isolate with your voice to make like a classic villain archetype isolation and things like that?
That is your instrument. Like, this is so specific to you that you're going to find that yourself. What I often do in order to, like, find my character, I'll do two things. If there's a line that's like, listen up, or something like that, which I wrote in here for you to try, you should try adding things before that just to get yourself in that moment. And you can cut that out when you're editing. But instead of, like, listen up, guys, it's like, all right, everyone, gather around. Listen up. There's something important we need to talk about. And the part that you'll just have is, listen up. there's something important that we need to talk about. And there's so much more life in that than just
interesting.
starting out like, listen up, there's something, you know what I mean?
Because you got that little performance platform. It's like, this is my first line, and there's the foot, and then the rest of it kind of has to follow up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to start. So
Yeah.
if you'll just live for a moment before starting, that's the best advice I can give you. And the other thing that I do is if I'm not feeling a character, if I feel it's too goofy or it's too strong in one way or another, I'll bring it back to just the most base level possible. Like, I'm in my higher register right now because I'm projecting, but I'm most comfortable in my lower register. So I will take the line back and I'll be like, everyone listen up. We've got something really serious to talk about. And then you build from there. If you're like, they're farther away. They're over there. Everyone listen up. There's something we need to talk about. And, you know, bit by bit, you build. That's all it's
Interesting. Another thing that I've heard, and so correct me if I'm wrong, is that if you speak, you're like, I'm waiting to, is if you speak multiple languages, that's a huge,
Awesome.
yeah.
Oh, it's so great. Like, if you, especially in the market of Los Angeles, if you speak Spanish, that is fantastic. I can't tell you how many roles come along where it's just like, young 20s guy, like, you know, slight Spanish accent maybe. Like, I don't even audition for it, because I'm like, Los Angeles is chock full of people who are in the Latino community who are actors who would be perfect for this.
Yeah.
Like, but if I wanted to learn Spanish, I could take advantage of those roles. So I speak pretty poor German. So I can take advantage of that, you know, now and again. Either way, learning a language is great to boost accents. Also, anybody who wants to learn accents, great resource, YouTube, the word accent tag, like tag your it.
Yeah.
People will be like, you know, I'm from Dublin and I don't know, you know, but I'm going to accent tag
That was
this
the
person
worst
from...
Dublin
I know.
accent I've
I don't
ever
do
heard in my
Dublin.
life.
I don't do... Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So someone like you would be like, Dublin, like, and now I tag this person from Australia, and they're like, hello, you know,
Yeah.
good to see you. But accents are not my specialty.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so what he's talking about with accent tag, I actually just had to use this, and I ended up doing my own accent tag because I needed a BC, specifically a BC Vancouver accent.
Okay.
And my best friend's from Alberta, but it was specific. It said, not Alberta, we need someone from Van. So I had my best friend has a friend in Vancouver who recorded a list of words, and you can find this list, it's pretty common, he's saying, actually TKG says, I think the harder part of accents is the R's. I actually have a
Glad
joke.
I chose Irish to butcher.
Yeah, no, I have a joke. So my old voice and speech coach, who actually moved here, so hi Amber Petty, which was surprising. I ran into her at an audition one day. Hers was, and this has a dirty word in it, but it's not that bad. I think we can all handle it. Her sentence was, surely there are whores here. And it's because it uses all the diphthongs of R. So if you can hear that sentence in the accent, it's using all of that R coloring, because it's going to be different. Whether it's at like a central, so the word surely, you're going to have R coloring in an English accent, like Shirley. Well, the word here, it's an ER and it's ending the word, so you have to drop the R coloring because in an English accent, it would be here. You know?
Yeah.
So it's really cool. That's a great useful sentence for it. So if you're surely
Don't say it
there,
around small kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Just want to drive home this point really quickly. I'm a working voice actor and I support myself in that. And I can do a couple accents, but no, not all of them at all.
Yeah.
So like, if you do feel lacking in any area, you're like, I don't know timing. Like, it's okay, learn. Just learn.
Yeah.
I'm still learning accents.
That's something that's interesting, timing. I was, and thank you, you brought me back to it because I was going to ask you. You had said something about doing a run-up to your first line and then editing it out. What about, I've noticed when I've tried to do videos at home, just like YouTube videos, I talk over myself all the time. It makes editing very hard. So what are some tricks that people at home, where they have to self-edit still, what's a really good, what are some kind of tips for self-editing, pacing yourself while you're recording so that it makes your job easier on the back end?
That's a very good question.
That is a great question. It took a while to sort of break this this habit, but because I think everybody does that right off the bat. You know, if they'll start off a line and they don't like it, they'll be like, my carpet, just get through the line as best you can. And if you're not sure about timing, listen back to it and you will know. Like, there is a commercial or something out there that you can relay this back to.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many like alcohol commercials that like you're not selling the beer, you're selling, you know, that day that you were hanging with your buddies, and you know, I remember that only when I drink this beer, and you just get into the character and then you just do line by line. I would also recommend doing a full take of all the lines first and then going back and doing it again if you need a second take.
Oh yeah.
Because if you try to self-edit within the line, you sometimes change your character. And I have auditions that I've listened to where at the beginning I'm like higher register, you know, much more energetic, and by the end of it I'm low and it's not quite the same person. But it all happened in that span of like, I'm going to overthink myself on this line for a minute and a half, and then
oh wow.
Yeah, so
I think you also want to be great with articulation as well, right? Unless the character calls for a little bit of a...
You know what's so crazy? I had to unlearn my articulation.
You had to unlearn?
I was too proper, and I didn't ever sound like...
Good American pronunciation for the stage.
Exactly. Yeah. Good Americans. Atlantic accent, but, you know, whatever. Right. Yeah, I didn't sound natural at all. So, even though what you're saying is correct, like, most people don't have perfect articulation. Like if...
Let's talk in General American for a moment.
General American, yeah.
It's very strange.
It's very strange, yeah. I mean,
and everything that you do is very pronounced.
Absolutely.
I'm not entirely sure because this is the only accent I've ever known is General American.
But you're not speaking General American.
How am I not speaking
General
American?
It's because General American is a dialect. It's
also called like educated American in that it's the specific pronunciation that they teach in schools generally. You know, because like if you had a Southern accent, there would be a different way to like mark that out in IPA.
International Phonetic Alphabet.
For all you linguists out there. But, you know, non-regional American, I mean, I don't even know if I can pull it out fully right now because I've got a little West Coast in me now, too.
I had it beaten out of me because I was from Texas. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
well,
so
when
I moved to New York, I got it, like, beaten out of me at Ada, for real. Because it's so theater. So what was the name of the first microphone?
Both were made by Blue. The first was the Snowball, and this one is called the Yeti. The thing you have to be aware of is beyond USB microphones, usually they connect with an XLR cable, which are those really big, fat, like sound cables, and you'll have to buy a preamp, which does a lot of sound editing things sort of for you, and makes it sound all pretty, but it's several $100s, and then that goes into the computer. So it's either like an $80 microphone or a multiple $100 setup.
Oh, well, you just solved my dilemma, because I have the one you were just talking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the one my friend left at my place that I'm still waiting for him to come pick up.
Oh, snap.
I figured I would use it in the meantime, but yeah, it's got the big, thick cable plug-in. And
yeah, and you can get a cheap one for like $100, but it just makes it more tricky. And then you also need phantom power, which means the microphone doesn't have a power source of its own when hooked up to the XLR cable. So you actually have to like plug in the mic and...
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, I'm stopping by for Snowball.
TKG says everyone has to give your best Irish accent.
I can't do it. I can't.
Oh, he said your best.
I can't do mine without saying something that might be sort of...
Well, read one of the lines that he wrote.
Not okay. I don't know.
Pick one of them. Because we're gonna well first tell us about the little thing that you have.
Oh yeah. So I don't have legal access to video game scripts of any kind that I'm working on because I will get the pantsuit off me. So I typed up something that would be very similar to the kind of things that I would read every morning. I'm calling this Fighting School in Space with Lasers.
Watch, surprisingly, you just guessed on the main project of some other company.
I know.
Just wrote up like everything. With it.
EA just did like a table flip. How did he know? Yeah, so I sort of wrote it in the style of like Commander Shepard, can be played by like male or female. And there are a few different lines that I picked for specific reasons, as well as like a couple like video game efforts at the end. And I'll have you guys read that out. I'll try my Irish. That stunt you pulled in the mess hall, really cute. And don't thank me, cute has no place here. So let me make this very, very clear. A weak soldier can get an entire platoon killed. I can't do Irish.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's pretty good. There you go. All right.
Colin Farrell, eat your heart out.
Are we all doing Irish or what?
Yeah, you have to do an Irish. Do this one.
I want to listen. I want to listen to your Irish.
You have to do Basque.
I want to listen to it.
All right.
Be a Franco-Spaniard.
All units fall back. Return to the extraction points at all cost. If you get us killed, I'm so gonna haunt you.
All right. So which one should I read? Which one?
Do the fourth line.
The fourth line.
Ooh, it's emotional.
I don't know. That's the emotional one. Now I'm thinking too much. I'm doing that thing you do. All right. I don't know. Maybe there isn't a right side. Maybe that's the point.
Oh, there you go.
That's pretty solid.
That's good.
Right.
It's not bad.
Go.
Not bad at all.
I don't. We have somebody from Ireland. You've lived in Ireland. I get very nervous under pressure.
Anmul Glega Agate for TKG. I bet he'd be like, what? Not since second grade. You mentioned video game reactions.
Yeah.
This is a whole thing that you have to do in not just video games, but in cartoons and dubbing over movies and all that. So let's talk about that, because this is like the weirdest thing to me.
Specifically reactions, you mean
like,
in terms of like fighting?
Fighting reactions or like exclamations and yeah, where it's like...
Yeah. So that is more specific to anime, where it's just like, you haven't been training enough. Like, right?
Oh, Lord.
And then there's the like, you know, the two katanas like pass and you don't know who got hurt, and then one guy goes, and like falls, or whatever, falls over.
Yeah, it has the echo from Mortal Kombat.
Fatality. So yeah, that is actually the one thing that I have been trained on. I had to take like a 2 or 3 hour workshop one-on-one with a actor who taught me a lot of this stuff. So I'm not going to specifically teach his techniques.
Right, yeah.
But I will say, when it comes to efforts and things like that...
That's what they're called, efforts.
Efforts. There are a few specific kinds. You'll have to worry often about being shot, being punched, or punching somebody, stabbing somebody.
And that's just getting into the booth.
And there's a whole bridge troll. You got to answer his riddles 3. It's a whole complicated thing. So there are all kinds of efforts that you just sort of have to be aware of. What I would recommend is listening to video games more intently and seeing what they do. But the easiest way to space it out for yourself is like short, medium, and long efforts. So imagine you're doing like a punch very quickly. You can actually, in the booth, as long as you're not hitting things and you don't have jangly clothing that's like wisping against the air, you can move around and actually like help yourself get that. Like there's a shot of Hugh Jackman doing his own recordings for Wolverine. He's not standing there like, ha, ha, ha. He's like running like, and,
Well, because that's what it is. So we're acting. You're still acting. You're not just kind of...
Which is why I leave the booth sweaty every time.
Yeah,
exactly. So punching I recommend doing in like combos of 3, like like, and then when it's heavier and you've got a bat, you've got that swing, so it's a little longer by like half a second, like and that kind of deal. And then there's the long stuff with like lifting up a box and throwing it, and you need like, that's a 2.5 second kind of deal. So it's like and
oh wow.
The one thing that you have to be aware about with that is when you're just a normal human being in life, you don't make those kind of noises, so you don't realize how much dead air is actually in the natural version. If I were picking something up, it'd be like but there's like 2 seconds of nothing in that.
Yeah.
So you have to add the like
right, the extra little efforts. The effort.
Okay, so we have to move on, but really quick, that sounded like it was hell on your voice.
No.
Those reactions.
But
are those things that you would do at the end?
Those are things that I would generally request to do at the end if they don't already schedule it that way. It would be hell on your voice if you don't know what you're doing. I have found the register for my own personal vocal instrument that allows me to do that without doing too much extreme rasp to it. But especially if you're not used to that, and you have a younger voice, it can be difficult to get those kinds of sounds. I would recommend for younger voices specifically, and really anybody. I'm 26 years old and I have a slightly raspy voice. So that's what my effort sounds like. If you're hired at like 15 to play a 15-year-old, no one's going to really expect you to be like, like, I smoke a pack a day. And no, like you can sound 15. It's, or however old.
15-year-olds sound when they punch things. We're up with your screen.
So this is Audacity. The interface can look a little bit daunting at first, but again, it is the most basic thing out there. Don't get too worried. So first thing you want to check is to make sure you're using the right microphone. Recording with the wrong one is heartbreaking.
Oh, no.
I've had so many auditions that were doing like 10... Excuse me.
Oh, there's the voice.
10... There it goes.
It's almost like you're a professional.
Sort of. I made you think that. That are doing like 10 minutes, and I'll record a perfect take, but it has been recorded with this microphone, the built-in one, and it sounds like I'm a room away yelling into a tin can.
Oh, God.
So that's a nightmare. Always check that first. These are your levels for your microphone. You'll have to play with that yourself. I have my gain turned up about halfway on the microphone itself, and a little more than halfway on Audacity, so I have a little bit of room to play. If I have to yell, I can take it down. If I have to do something intimate, it's up here. What is
gain?
Gain is how much volume is added to the mic. I don't know if it's the microphone doing itself doing that itself or if it's the computer and the way it's processing it. Don't know the technical side, but it's added volume to the voice.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, if we spoke very quietly and it was a very serious conversation, like most mics aren't going to pick that up, but you turn it way up and you're over here and all of a sudden you're fine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's the most important thing normally, core audio. You record in 2 stereos, 2 channels, otherwise it sounds a little bit off. And these are your basic controls. You begin recording using this, and let's go. So you can see now that I'm talking into the blue Yeti, and you can see the points where I get a little too loud, and you know,
there's the peak.
There's the peak. It's going above the actual line, so you know those aren't going to sound very pretty. So I will usually start off an audition by saying my name and the role that I'm reading. This little role here that I made is I named the person Carla or Carlos, depending on who is reading it. But I'd say Damian Haas reading Carlos. Edit out everything before that, and then here's the beginning of your audition. So let's see, where'd it go? Edit out everything before that.
It's
No?
that big patch.
Oh, it's the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that mean it's
Damien
too hot?
Haas reading Carlos. Yes, we are not in my fancy closet. We are at a table, so it is going to sound a little tinny. But I would take out everything before that. You just highlight as you would. Delete button deletes. And shift record. You continue to record in the same channel.
Okay, so now one thing that always confused me when I've used Audacity before is why the double display there?
Because that's in stereo, right?
Yes, those are the 2
Okay.
channels that are being recorded. Otherwise,
Okay.
you would just have this one bar.
Like, it seemed pretty straightforward. I could have guessed, but at the same time, I was like, I might want to ask.
Look, man, if you have that question, someone's going to have that question. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool. So do you guys want to just try taking a crack at this video game, or what are we feeling?
Let's go. Why not?
Sweet. So, again, this is called something I've made up called Fighting School in Space with Lasers. Carla or Carlos, male or female, 18 to 35 to play 17, natural voice, nothing cartoony, possibly texture. It's the kind of description they would give you.
What do they mean by texture?
The gravel you hear in my voice. Yeah. And so you'll sometimes get a little bit of description. So I wrote, Carla comes from a long line of career soldiers, so she joined the space fighting school at a young age. She is used to being the top of the class and pushes herself harder than most of her classmates. Because of this, she is not a fan of the new kids' antics, preferring to see a plan followed to completion. She believes she is born for leadership, and assuming any other role is maddening to her, hot-headed. That's a good description.
Yeah, that's all you need. That is the character.
But that's a good one. Like most of the time, it'll be like punk kid, or like you know, you have to sort of be aware of and make those things for yourself if you don't.
It's like here's the description. Here's everything that goes into that description.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why you build a character.
Yeah.
Hey. So who wants to go first? I can stand this up to.
I'll come over there. I think is probably
Cool.
the
We can
easiest way.
swap if you want.
Well, I think I've got to be in front of the microphone.
Well, yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So let's stand
There you go.
up.
So you can sit down.
Do you want to record standing? Or
I don't think I can stand up.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to sit.
Cool.
Can we? Because it's it swivels.
Oh, it swivels.
Oh God, it's stuck.
Oh, I got the fancy version that is both swiveling and gets stuck.
See if we can get Gina to do a little goofy voice maybe for some of these that don't call for
it's not it's not a duologue. It's all me.
Right. So sometimes you'll see something that is like a script, and you'll like be reading opposite yourself. That's something that you have to learn because you'll have to sort of make a voice in your head for the other character. So you'll basically your auditions, you'll be standing there with a piece of paper like, "What are you doing?" I know, but we agreed that we would come back later.
Oh.
Do you think that's my fault? I'm sorry. Like, it's very, you have to learn how to actually
It's
have
like
that.
you're on the phone or something and they can't hear it.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, so sometimes you will also instead get something with just a few lines on it. Very...
Raw, because he knows. He follows me on Twitter. He knows what, yeah.
Gina will indeed be Carla.
I am Carla.
The character I made up. So... This section has just your lines on it.
Yes.
So I picked these for very specific reasons to show sort of different aspects that you could show in your voice in a video game. So why don't you give it like one run, just what you would naturally think about, and then we'll talk about what's...
Okay. Okay, so I say I'm like about here.
Yeah, why don't you give me some levels? I'm recording right now.
Hello, my name is Gina Teresa, and I am reading for Carla.
Cool, I'm going to turn up the gain a little bit more.
Alrighty.
You might also want to scooch a little bit closer if you can.
Scoot.
Yeah, scoot. Perfect. I think you're recording at a good level as long as you stay around there.
Okay.
So go ahead and give it a shot. line 1.
So okay, it says in brackets, shoves new kid against locker. So is that an effort that I have to put that
You
in
totally can. An inexperienced voice actor might walk up and just immediately start the line, but you can have that. Like, no one who's auditioning you for a video game is going to think it's weird that you put motion in there.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's like you shuffling in your closet making terrible noise. But if you're like shove someone and you bring that in with you.
All right.
I can also give an example, but I don't want to be like, here's me doing my thing that I wrote. Now you guys try. Like,
yeah, do the thing that we brought you in to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you should do it.
Oh.
Because I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's...
Oh, he's going to do it. Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean,
He's going to record it. Well, make sure that you don't say it's Gina Teresa, because I don't want them to think I sound like you.
That'd be a very incredible voice, though, that you could have that range.
That would, yeah.
We have a new follower, Synth. I'm just going to call you Synth. Welcome, Synth.
Synth!
What up, Synth?
Hang on.
Day, Synth die.
Welcome, Synth. Oh, you're recorded now. Magic.
Oh, snip. It's forever. So, cool. Well, then I'll give this a shot, and I'll tell you after I'm done why I chose each line for what I did. Cool. So, these are my levels. I usually snap to give myself an editing break so I can see nice and clean.
Oh,
where I wanna cut
wow.
off. Yep. Snip, snip. Done. Damian Haas reading Carlos. That stunt you pulled in the mess hall. Really cute. And don't thank me. Cute has no place here. So let me make this very, very clear. A weak soldier can get an entire platoon killed. Start acting like you deserve to be here, or get out. And either way, take a shower. Line 2. All right, everyone, listen up. We just received a transmission from command. The Vanguard platoon failed to bring down the shields from inside. We're going to have to attack from the front. All units, fall back! Return to extraction point at all costs! If you get us killed, I'm so gonna haunt you! Do you ever think we might not be, always on the right side? I mean, the people we fought down there, they just look like people to me. I don't know. Maybe there isn't a right side. Maybe that's the point. So that takes care of most of the lines. Then I would go over here, make it a little quieter, and do my efforts. So it would say lines like, Grenade! I'm taking heavy fire! Laying down, suppressing fire! And then punching. Getting punched would be the final thing, or getting shot. And boom, there you go. That's an audition.
What?
So,
I have to do that?
yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
So now I guess we can talk about editing. So let's take a look at, well, first of all, let's go line by line, and I'll tell you why I showed this. Line number 1, shoving the new kid against the locker. That is actually specifically why I chose it. Can you do some actions and movement while you're talking? If you actually need to hold something, like your hand like this up against the mic, like you're pushing a new kid against the locker, that's fine. That's always fine. So you can be like, let me tell you something really clear right now. And it automatically adds that like effort and tension to your voice instead of just starting out like, hey, that stunt you pulled in the mess hall, not cool, man. Equally usable, but not quite.
I mean, even
so
here, you could even. Sorry, I cut you off there. Even here, you could even hear it. It sounded more like if you have the effort to it, then you're actually like in somebody's face. You're doing it. If you're just sitting there, just kind of like not cool, man. You sound like that with the sideways cap. Just like,
you
not
sound like
cool,
the Big
man.
Lebowski. Like, man, that's just like it, man.
What were you thinking about your like soldiers and comrades, bro? So, yeah,
It was like Super Troopers.
exactly. I am tripping out, man. So anyway, yeah, so that would be basically how an audition would look. Let's see where our first line is. All right. Okay, so let's see.
Now,
That's stunt. Okay, perfect. So we're almost there. Got to find your start point. Here we go. Damien Haas reading Carlos. Perfect. So that would be called the slate. Whether on-camera acting or voice acting, introducing yourself and giving some pertinent information like that, slate. Begins every audition unless very specifically noted otherwise. I'm going to be deleting your very special random dialogue. I'm sorry.
I put so much effort into that.
I know you did. I'm sorry. But now you know how to make efforts even better, and we can do it again. Okay, so you would listen back to your audition. Anything after the slate that's not needed, just go ahead and slide. Get it out of there. Delete. Done. So now we're ready to start our audition. Before we go any further, I want to say a lot of people use a lot of different tools on sound engineering devices. They can use things like levelers, which will make sure that your voice doesn't ever go over a certain point that like make the mic sound all metallic and painful.
Yeah.
There are normalization, programs and things like that. I recommend looking up equalizers and levelers. Those are the only two you'll ever really use as a voice actor. Until then, if you have to edit something in a couple minutes and really, really need to get out of that room, you gotta find a little point where there's just some dead space. Play it back. Okay, so it's just got the room noise. For specifically Audacity, they have a wonderful tool called noise removal. So you go over to Effect, go to Noise Reduction, and you click the button Get Noise Profile, and that's basically saying, hey, that little thing that I just selected down there, that's now called noise. And so Audacity's like, all right. So you would select the rest of your work, go again to Noise Reduction, and say, all right, let's reduce that noise by 7 or 8 decibels. That's a pretty standard amount. And so without doing anything too technical, this has just made your audition sound so many times better.
Huh.
If you do everything you can to reduce fans in the room, AC running, but this will take it out. I have a new kitten that was mewing the other day, and I had to make that not happen in a very serious audition.
Yeah,
that's a new trick. I didn't know that.
Totally. And every program has their own plugins, they're generally called. And the possibilities are endless. YouTube tutorials are your friend. Or learning at a place like this specifically would, I think, be awesome as well.
So then I imagine just that even that little effect that you just did, because I'm looking at those larger points that are kind of going off the charts here with the sound.
Right.
That would probably help. Even just that little noise reduction would probably help that a lot.
Raw Alpha says you don't use any compression.
I should be using compression. I don't at the moment because I'm still on Audacity and haven't invested any time to learn that. I'm going to switch to Reaper soon, and then we'll be using compression.
I don't know what compression is.
I don't specifically know what it is either. It's another tool to make the voice sound a little bit richer. I think specifically, if you know Raw, it would make sort of you can set it to make the deeper tones a little richer, the treble tones a little bit richer, and take out some of the mid range.
Oh, so it doesn't have anything to do with what he was talking about with how.
That would be the leveler.
Okay.
And in my own experience, I have to sort of take these things when I'm editing on the fly. Another effect that I've learned is either amplify or normalize to just bring it down a little bit, a few decibels, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
So there are all sorts of tools to play with, and I have not played with them all. I am not an expert. I'm a man who records in his closet.
Well, Ra, if you know what compression is, it sounds like you were pretty much in the ballpark. But I don't know myself.
Yeah, Raw, tell us.
Go
Educate
ahead.
us, Raw Alpha Male.
We're giving educated guesses here, so.
Perfect. And while we're waiting on that, maybe we can listen back a little bit and hear, and we'll move on to the next line.
Damian Haas reading Carlos. That stunt you pulled in the mess hall. Really cute. Or get out. And either way, take a shower. Line 2.
So that was one of my questions. So you don't actually announce what lines you're doing. You just...
Correct. That was me for you. Usually I would just go straight through. No breaks whatsoever. And if there is anything in there, you got to take it out. Let's see here. We got to listen, unfortunately, back to the things that probably peaked.
All units, fall back! Return to extraction point at all costs!
So you now know what I'm talking about with that really metallic sound where it's just
I don't know what you're talking about. That sounded nice and soothing to me. That was...
Wait, really or sarcastically?
Sarcasm.
100% being sarcastic.
Yeah, perfect.
Sean makes dad jokes.
I do.
Actually,
I have not done one this entire time.
Yeah, he made it 1 hour and 19 minutes.
Well, I'm learning.
I'm very proud of you.
Well done. So, ordinarily in a case like this, if I am editing quickly and I've made a mistake by making a very loud take like that, I will really quickly do the recording volume down as much as I can. Again, there are better ways to do this with a leveler. Look it up. Record again, and then just experiment with the sound, because I am, again, in a closet. Is this quiet enough? All units, fall back! See, it's still going to peak a little bit, so. All units, fall back! See, that one did not peak. So I would listen back to it, and if it works, you copy paste like anything else. Here's your cut, copy, and paste.
Wow.
Just like right. So you slip that right in, and say for instance that was the whole line. Paste it in, and you would never know the difference.
Yeah,
Now,
look at that go.
Now, this is what I was talking about earlier when
that?
I brought up articulation, however, is that you want to be able to say it with the same consistency over and over again. That's why I said, I mean, it might not necessarily count for the role, but you want to be able to say it the same way. That's why I said you practice your articulation, because they do just that. You could take it, copy, and cut it in if it matches up, correct?
Sure. I mean, that's actually something that the sound engineer, they're total wizards. They can almost edit anything together and make it sound completely flawless. If you are by yourself, though, you do have to sort of be aware about your tones. Sometimes if I go back and record just a single line like that, there will be a tonal break where if it's like, everyone get to the helicopter and the extraction point, we're leaving. If I need to record the we're leaving again, it'll sound like, everyone get to the extraction point! We're leaving. Like, it is just too broken up, so...
I mean, then you're just dramatic.
But you definitely, you have to be aware of your tone. It's a muscle like anything else. Sorry, really quickly before we run out of time here. When someone sends you a bunch of lines to audition for, there's a reason that they've picked those lines. They didn't just throw a dart.
Right, yeah.
So line 1, shoving the new kid against the locker, that was for effort. Line 2 to a group was for projection. They want to see if you don't just scream, but you can talk to a group of people. You're not just talking to they're 10 feet away, or you're on a platform.
Yeah.
Third one is running from fire. You can do sort of the Shia LaBeouf, like, no. I mean, that's one of my favorite tricks is like fake running in place. Don't shuffle your feet. But, breathing is important in modern day games. They used to want everything to be super clear and perfect, but now there's like, you'll even breathe and we're in the wilderness, and they want
adds that realism to it.
Exactly, because that's what games are nowadays. We're just making life.
Yeah.
Which is a whole philosophical conversation we could go into, but okay.
This is all a simulation.
You're
Matrix!
And then the last line was,
we work together too much.
most of these lines are, very big and boisterous, but they want to see that you're not just one-sided and have to scream everything.
Oh, yeah.
So this last one was, I would turn the mic usually way up, get way closer, and slow down. Just slow down. And
on the page, it says, it says line 1, and then it, in brackets, shoves new kid against locker. Line 2, to a group. Will it always say that in these auditions? Like, what the lines are directed towards?
Sometimes you will. You're going to get all forms of things. They will sometimes be very specific about that, but usually that might be something you'll have to make for yourself. For example, it doesn't say running from fire, but it'll say all units fall back, return to extraction point at all costs. You can make the choice as an actor that you're talking into a radio, or you can be running from fire.
Well, but specifically for the first one.
Yeah.
How would you infer from that it's
You wouldn't necessarily.
Because it could also be like Mean Girls,
Right.
If you don't have that knowledge that you're shoving someone into a locker, it could just be like petty mean girl.
Totally, and that's a character choice kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
That's something that you'd probably just glean from the character description, and if you got any more mean girl kind of vibe, maybe that's something you see that other people don't, and that gets you the job,
Yeah.
It's, the cool thing about voice acting is that, I'm 26, but I'm competing against 17-year-olds, and I'm competing against 50-year-olds.
Absolutely.
Everybody is bringing such a different thing to the table that if you're right for it, great, and if not, you're probably still good at what you do. It's just,
and you'll be right for something.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Damien, it has been an absolute pleasure having you in on the show. We have about 5 minutes left.
The last thing.
We have to show how to export.
So
I'm like, get out.
Little important.
Now you can't do anything with your work. So the most important thing you have to do when you're done editing, and imagine this is a beautiful, perfect take, is exporting.
Which it is.
That is the only thing that's complicated with Audacity. It doesn't come with the ability to do that. You have to download a codec called LAME, L-A-M-E. The website is buanzo, buanzo.org. It's lame.buanzo.org. I know it's not very prettily put together. It looks like welcome to virus.virus.
Yeah.
But it's literally like Mac downloads here, PC downloads here, and it's the only place you can get it.
Okay, cool. So how do you? So you have to download this program. And then, how does it work to export it?
You run the codec that you download, and it will most likely go to the proper place for Audacity. Just make sure Audacity isn't open while you're doing it. It'll install properly. And then, once it has, you can save your project, which is always a great idea, especially while you go. But that'll only save it as an Audacity file. If you need an MP3 or anything else, you go down to export. And oh heavens to Betsy, I'm not really going to export it because I realized all my files have very secret video game based names.
Ooh, probably not a good thing.
So it's going to be bob.bob, and it's going to be
Bob.
yeah.
Yeah. So it'll usually be like Fighter Kid in Space, Damian Haas, and then your agency name. But that's pretty standard.
Okay.
You would click save, and it would export as an MP3 to wherever.
Cool.
Okay, so
Awesome.
you do project title first, then your name, and then agency.
They'll usually tell you how you want it labeled,
Okay.
or they want it labeled, but if not, yeah, name, role, maybe agency if you have one.
Because I'm remembering the few that I did, and speaking of what you did with the
Mm-hmm.
brackets and whatnot, it was some stuff from Maple Story. I forgot how I started
cool.
getting the auditions. I don't know why, but they started coming to me, so I was happy.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, most of the auditions things, I didn't even know about the different, the short, long, or the short, medium, long effort noises and stuff like
That's
that.
awesome,
And
yeah.
so they would always ask, like, do 3, and it was just the same little, like, huh, huh, huh. It was like,
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing when I first started. So it's everything that he is talking about is stuff that I learned the hard way. So pay attention. Because these are very good tips.
Just pretend to be Link if you need to fight.
Exactly.
Like this.
This has been enlightening.
I'm glad.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank
This
you
has
guys
been
for having me.
amazing.
has been a lot of fun.
And I hope that our audience got something out of it. If you have any other questions for Damien, you can hit us up. You can hashtag him NYFA Games and then hashtag Damian Haas.
Thank you
and
very
then
much,
he
yeah.
can answer questions for you. You can hashtag it voiceover. You are, again, one more time, your Twitter and your Instagram are...
At Damian Haas, and that's Damien, H 2 A's and an S. It's German as heck. But
I am Gina.Teresa on Instagram, and then Ashes Than Dust on Twitter.
And I am SeanBot 2.0 on Instagram and Sean Zeno with 2 N's, or 3 if you count them all, on Twitter.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, that's it for the night. Thank you very much. I'm Gina Teresa.
I am Sean Spencer.
This is Damien Haas, and you have been watching the New York Film Academy's Twitch channel. School. I lost my hat.